If you blush at overly large cucumbers or perhaps the foot-long hot dog, well, this mic is girthy and the cukes are currently blushing. Not part of the review, but it had to be said. Okay, really quick, the value proposition. The King B2 is targeting both VO and instrumentation. This is the flagship microphone for Neat. It is sold as versatile and true to sound. So I'll let you make up your mind on all of that. Though the only pause I would offer is the pitch to streamers, as this might be a bit chonky in frame for a lot of gamers. Just keep that in mind. This thing is a beast. Now, my NT2A is what I consider a substantial microphone, and this thing is taller and girthier. Very impressive, just don't get caught staring. It's rude, you know. Very robust build on the microphone as well. Similar build quality to the original, though there is one big improvement. The pop filter cap doesn't just snap on and off. It's supposed to, but it doesn't just easily come off. It almost seems permanent, though it's not, which I do kind of prefer, as I found the old one fell off sometimes with very little effort. Now, obviously, the styling has changed, and we're going to get into that in a bit. That said, the shock mount, though it looks completely different, it's basically the same concept, just updated with the microphone. It even feels as though it's built with the exact same stuff. Now, the body is all metal, and the grill doesn't have any give. All in all, this thing should be sold as a microphone/weapon. This is a cardioid condenser microphone with a big old diaphragm measuring at 34 millimeters. The frequency response is 16 hertz to 20 kilohertz. It has a sensitivity of 26 millivolts per Pascal, a max SPL of 140 dB, a dynamic range of 134 dB, signal-to-noise ratio of 89 dBA weighted, a self-noise of 6 dBA weighted, and just to add to the chonkiness of it, it weighs in at a healthy 2.47 pounds. This is me speaking about 5 inches from the front of the microphone. Now I'm speaking about 5 inches from the side of the microphone. Now I'm speaking about 5 inches from the rear of the microphone. Now for a plosive rejection test of the Neat Mic's King B2. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Now for the proximity effect test of the Neat Mic's King B2. This is me speaking about 5 inches off the front of the capsule. Now I'm about 1 inch off the front of the capsule. 5 inches, 1 inch. I got the lights working in here now. This is a test of the Neat Mic's King B in the Isovox 2. This is how it sounds. Now, as I put these microphones head to head, let me tell you about our sponsor. First coined in 1947, the dictionary definition of the term voiceover described it as follows: the voice of an unseen narrator speaking as in a motion picture or television commercial. Podcastle is set to revolutionize that term and the entire industry by making editable, but perhaps more importantly, postable voiceovers the highest quality. While content is king, anything that sounds less than perfect can and will be dismissed in a matter of seconds, and that costs you time and money. Podcastle allows you to make a great first impression by giving you the professional sound you want without having to spend thousands of dollars booking studio time and hiring professional sound engineers. Podcastle gives you complete creative control. Now, last week I told you about the massive music and sound library that is now available at podcastle.ai. And now I'm telling you about their latest tool for podcasters and presenters. It is the Podcastle app, which lets you talk to anyone on the phone. Available now on the App Store. Record anyone from anywhere on their phone. And because it records the audio locally, you're getting the best quality audio. Join thousands of podcasters who use Podcastle to bring their stories to life. Visit podcastle.ai and make your voice heard today. Now, I know there's a lot of people upset at Neat for the redesign, and I kind of get it, but I really do prefer this microphone. The original model split the audience despite how well it performed. And that's not really what companies are aiming to do. Being different is good, and I admire Neat for what they built up. But this is also different, yet nowhere near as polarizing. Also, the first gen was very gimmicky, and I can only imagine how much money was wasted on the packaging and the little doodad that you got with it. I would much rather have that money sunk into research and development of the microphone, not the crap around it. I think this was a very cool move on the part of Neat and their parent company, Turtle Beach. As for the cons of this mic, and I'm kind of reaching here, I do find that the physical weight and size might be limiting for some. It does take up a lot of real estate if you're planning on using it on stream. Also, while I found it treated the frequencies well, my voice did overwhelm it on the low end when I added a bit of chest to it. Not a real big deal, as most of the time you're using a high-pass filter. And this being targeted at VO, you generally have a very controlled environment for that. Finally, the cons. You can't have a cheap boom arm with this mic, or at least I wouldn't. The weight of this thing does demand at least a Rode PSA-1. You don't want this thing bringing out the weaknesses in your gear, and at 2.5 pounds, well, it will. As for the pros, it does deliver on what it promotes itself as. It's a very nice sounding mic, not offensive. It should handle whatever instrumentation you throw at it, and it very well might sound great on your voice. And lastly, you gotta mention the price. This is a very affordable microphone, and I could see a lot of people getting into voiceover work with it. $170 is a very good price for this performance. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for not doing any reference comparisons to the first gen King or Worker Bee mics, but there is a specific reason for that. You can't buy them anymore. I wanted to throw the old Worker Bee in, but you can't buy the older microphone. What is the point to the comparison if you can't actually put them side by side in your own studio? Also, if you really just want to see what it's like side by side, I think every other YouTuber doing mics has done that comparison. Check out Podcastage's video on it after this. His was good. That said, I think this thing held up nicely to the mics I put it up against. I like it a bit more than the Perception series from AKG, which is actually pretty impressive. Those are fantastic mics. Of course, when I say stuff like that, I am specifically talking about my voice. Your mileage may vary. I find the lows are quite enjoyable when they're controlled, though as I mentioned before, they can get out of hand depending on what you're miking. The mids are super detailed, and I think that's what makes this microphone shine. Now, they do talk about an airiness of this microphone, and I didn't hear a lot of it, some of it when I used it on air on my morning show, though I do happen to really like this microphone on the acoustic, whether or not you can hear the airiness or not. But what's most important is, what did you think? Let me know down below. And if you haven't already, the link to the Discord is down there as well. If you like this video, check out the time I finally caved and bought the original Worker Bee.